You know I'm right. A podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in media, sports, entertainment, entrepreneurship, reality TV, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese and Joe. We are very excited for our guest today. He's a veteran of the reality TV game, and he's kind of local like us, New Jersey guy.
Yes, he's a Jersey boy. As you know, even though I'm a New Yorker, I'm Jersey Joe on the go. We're very, very happy to have him on. We got an actor on with us. We got a producer, social media extraordinaire. He's got his own production company. Get to talk about that. But he is probably over the last 10 years one of the most well-known, animated, and entertaining reality TV contestants. He was previously on Big Brother and The Challenge. And as anybody who knows this show knows, that is some of our forte. So we're very happy to have him on. We welcome Paulie Calafiore to the show. Paulie, first off, I love the beard. I'm a good love beard guy. But how you doing today?
Big beard guy, big beard
Big
guy.
beard
Thanks for
guy.
having me, boys. I feel at home. I got some of my tri-state boys in here. You know what I mean? I feel like we could just let loose a little bit and have just like a normal, what you'd be talking about like while watching the game or out,
Yeah,
just kind of
Yeah.
shooting the shit, not really worrying about what you're saying, how you're saying it. So this
yeah.
could get interesting.
Normal chat. I mean, Joe mentioned it. He's Jersey Joe. He's always on the go. But Paul, you're always on the go. So you're always, and you got to do your social media and stuff. Probably always checking your flights. But when you wake up in the morning, what's that first app you're checking on your phone?
Honestly, I don't even check my phone until about like 2 or 3 hours after I wake up.
Smart.
I've gotten like really big into like I'm not like a big morning routine guy, but I'm a very big in don't go on your phone for the first 3 hours of the day. So get up, do whatever you got to do within those first 3 hours. Like have a little bit of stillness, have a little bit of time, practice your gratitude, practice your, visualization, manifestation, get a workout in, get a good meal in, hydrate and then go about your day. But when I do finally grab my phone, I mean the first app is WhatsApp. That's kind of where I run all of like my businesses out of for the most part. And then the second one would be ClickUp. Go figure. ClickUp's like
Yes.
organizational tool and everything. So I got to see all the checklists for the day, everything I got to get done, and make sure that everybody else, is getting their checklist done.
So I happen to be the spiritual one of the two. There are concepts that I just try to teach Nick as we go along. Periodically, it comes up, right? So just because of the way you answered the question, I absolutely have to ask. We're going to do the zodiac sign with you. Now, I have a feeling I know what sign you are. I personally happen to be a water sign, but my rising sign is different, and I think your sign in general is my rising sign. So, Nick, let's see if you can guess. Do you remember?
I remember your rising sign. I have no
That's
idea. It's
right.
like a foreign language to me. Uh, I don't know. Let me guess Sagittarius. I don't know. I'm very
It's
limited
close. It's close. It was a sign before. I think you're a Scorpio, right?
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio.
Through
Nailed
and
it,
through.
Joe.
You know what it
Yeah, through
is?
and through.
It's the intensity. Everything you bring to the table is always intense. Whether you're working or whether it was, previous appearances on Big Brother or the challenge, it's very evident just based on like the first 10 minutes that we've been in the Zoom room together, right? Like boom, boom, hard hitting.
Hard hitting, baby. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a Scorpio for better or for worse. I feel like we get a bad rap, you know?
I think so.
Nobody highlights the good qualities of Scorpio. It's always the bad qualities, and it's usually, people talking from a relationship standpoint. I'm like, that's just one facet.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like, let's relax here. Like there's so many other facets that you need to focus on. And also, maybe you're the problem also, you know?
That's what I come to find out. People aren't really fine-tuned, right? They don't really know their stuff as much because it's just stuff that they see online, maybe in an article or a news, in the old days it was a newspaper or something.
Yeah.
But just briefly to end this topic, it's something that I've observed through the years and I study it like it's an actual science, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like if you do have a working idea of that kind of stuff, it actually does improve your day to day, right? It helps you understand your own energy, right? And as it relates to everything else.
I agree. I mean, I get really into the zodiac aspect of things and also like the numbers that go along with it. I do truly think that when, now I do this, like it used to kind of be like just kind of dealing from the hip, sharpshooting all the time. And I'd kind of be like, all right, well, I'm making it. I'm successful in the things that I do, but I'm like, man, there's hurdles and there's obstacles. And now I'm kind of shifting into the alignment of when and where, the timing of when you should be doing things. So now I'm like way more focused on if I'm going to invest in something and I think something's a good idea, I'm going to wait until it's like that time period that's lining up within the year because something is going to come up that either tells you yes or no before that time. And, in the past, like I've definitely made some bad decisions in terms of like, oh, this is going to be a hit. And then it's not. Same things in like movements with business, friendships, relationships, personal things. I'm very aware of all of that now. And I kind of think that that's like a next level, thing. And I think too many people get too distracted with the day to day and, social media and everything that's going on in the world that they forget about that.
What do you
Well
think, Joe?
said. I think so. I think that was really well said. I think understanding the timing and alignment of everything, right, is very important here. And again, it doesn't just apply to family and relationships, businesses, right? When you want to plan events out, when you want to plan vacations, all that kind of stuff. So, what do you think, Nick? Are you a little more convinced now?
About the zodiac sign?
Yeah.
Or like the planning of the timing and everything?
Well, when it comes to just new like numerology and astrology and how everything intertwines and works together.
I don't know, because you've been telling me fear is something big and good is coming my way, and I'm still waiting. So we'll see how it plays out. But recently, I mean, not like a little bit ago, Paulie got some big news where he was inducted with his brother into the New Jersey Athletics Hall of Fame. That was pretty cool. How was that? And it all started. He went to Rutgers, played some D1 soccer. What was the process like that to get recruited to go there? And then, hey, you got a good education from a good school, exercise science major.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was tough. It was a long road. Like for me, it was and it's kind of weird how it's translated into like my later years, just with how life has gone. Where, growing up, I was always the top athlete in my fields, and then once I transitioned from being a boy to a man and not really understanding, taking care of your body. I started suffering like really bad injuries, like almost like every year. So, like, imagine entering high school, being looked at by essentially every school. And then, year after year, it was just an injury during like prime time. College showcases is what was needed like back in the day. You couldn't just send in a highlight reel, So every time when the big time college showcase tournaments were coming around, where all the big time colleges were going to be there, I wasn't playing because I was injured. So as that happened, everything started to kind of, the opportunities started kind of like dwindling down, and I was kind of running into this situation where it's like, damn, am I going to be able to even live out this dream? And then I was just very persistent with the local coaches because I knew it was going to be a little bit easier to get that. So I was reaching out to like St. John's, Rutgers, trying to get them to come and see some of my local games, like when I wasn't injured. And the coach at the time, he took a chance, came and watched a couple of my games. Came and watched some more of my games, even on the high school side of things, just to kind of see how I deal with like opposing crowds, how I deal with bad refereeing, how I deal with opposing teams that are just whatever. And it worked out. And I never kind of looked back, um, since then. So the whole Division I experience was great. I did still kind of continue to suffer a little bit of injuries, but nothing too crazy, when I was D1. So, was able to kind of take that. Rutgers hadn't seen like a, NCAA, tournament berth in a while. I was able to kind of seal that deal my last year, get us ranked top 20 in the nation. And it was good. It was good all around. So definitely tough, but rewarding.
There's this perception about soccer players. When you take a cleat to the shin or when you took a cleat to the shin, how bad did it hurt?
Oh, it was bad. And I was definitely, I probably was like the anti stereotypical soccer player where it's like, don't want contact, stays down on the ground longer than they need to, is crying over every little thing. Like I was almost like anytime that there was a way to get away with contact without it being a foul, I did that. So, I looking back, I'm like, could I have maybe, taken care of my ankles a little bit more, taken care of my head a little bit more? Yeah, I probably could have. But like if there was like, a 50-50 head ball and I saw that I could get the ball in the guy's head, I did it, and it wouldn't be a foul if, there was a tackle where, I could like shoulder the guy into into the bleachers. I did it, and get away with it. And it hurts, a stinger to the shin, you're gonna, it takes a little bit to wear that off.
All right, so let's talk about those grease trucks for a second. I've only really been there, I think maybe two or three times through the years. Did you
They're
take
closed
advantage of
now.
the grease trucks? They're closed down, right? When did they
Yeah, no
close
more.
down? A couple
Ah,
years ago,
man.
2018, 19 maybe.
right before COVID.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
they closed down. It was definitely it was a little disappointing. I mean, what they turned that area into, it's like they tried to be like, oh, it was the grease and it's not, and like it's causing some kind of environmental issue. And I was like, no, I was like, it seems like, there's some money involved and they
Oh
want to
yeah.
build this giant complex, which they have, which just has like all the restaurants in the bottom of it. So it's like the grease truck guys at least got their own like little storefront, which is great, but it takes away from like that old, Rutgers feeling. Now it's got the high rise around that whole thing and, apartments that people live in. So I think it was a little bit political to get rid of the grease trucks. But I mean, man, that was my go-to after every single home game where I was like, all right, I've got a day of recovery. I'm gonna go to the grease trucks. I'm gonna get about like two or three. My go-to was the fat bitch, you know, and I would fucking take down three of those babies and just call it a night and go and enjoy it. Everybody be out partying, drinking. I'm like, nope. I'm taking my three fat bitches back home and I'm fucking eating them.
Life as a Division One soccer player with your
Jonathan,
metabolism
we
through
gotta
the
just
roof.
clip that part by Paulie. No context. I'm
No
taking
Right.
those three
context.
fat bitches home and I'm gonna eat them. I just
You
posted
know,
on social
eat the shit
media.
out of it. Yeah, that's the context right there.
Oh my God. All right, let's talk about more fun things over here. Party guy, right? I don't know if you were really a traditional party guy being a Division One athlete. I'm sure you kind of went out, had a social life. But being a party DJ, right, for VC Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean that was early on. That was in high school. I ended up kind of going into total entertainment was where I kind of really started doing the big time parties in New York, North Jersey, Connecticut, all that stuff. Before starting my own. But I actually was never a party guy. So like I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, and but I had been emceeing and DJing, taught myself how to dance and everything, basically from 16. So I never really looked at the partying aspect of things of like needing any of the, additional fun stuff to each their own in order to have a good time. Because I was like, I mean, I've been doing this for a living for a while, and I'd rather kind of be the life of the party and kind of be that guy than, to like, get hammered. Actually, like for me, anytime I drank, it just ended terribly. Like it ended in like fights. It ended in like, I was like the kind of guy like I don't know what I had wrong with me. Thankfully it's good now, but like when I got drunk, I would just go back to the dorms. Like I remember my freshman year, I would like trash the vending machines. I'd flip the freaking ping pong tables. I'd like knock down all the exit signs, and then the next day, like all of a sudden everybody's out there trying to piece together who did it. I'm like, holy shit, who the hell did this? And like my teammates would be like, bro, it was you. Like, just shut up and stay in your room, because they don't know it's you right now. And like, thankfully there were no cameras back in the day because it was wild times. So I was like, you know what, probably for my own safety, I should probably not do this. Cause like, when you start waking up the next day and you're like, where are these bruises on my face and my knuckles are bloody and all that shit? You're like, what the hell happened last night? And that was a personal decision to stop doing
Yeah.
that.
In the college days, it was the Sharpie on the face. We know all about that stuff. All right,
Yeah.
I need to bring him up. We were gonna wait about 15, 20 minutes to really bring him up. Your brother Cody, but
Yep.
the entertainment at Cody's wedding, because as Nick and I know, Nick got married about 5 or 6 years ago now, but he had his wedding at the Venetian in Jersey, which is a beautiful location, but there's nothing like a great Jersey wedding. So, how was the entertainment at your brother's wedding? How would you, grade and evaluate it? Did they do a good job with it?
I think it was great. Like I'm a little critical, when you're in the business for a while. Like I always took pride on
When you're in
memorizing.
the wedding, in the bridal party, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you got to
Yeah, like
evaluate it from all angles, right?
I always took pride in memorizing everybody's details, top to bottom, all the names,
Yeah,
everything.
now the guys
There
come
was
with a
no
clipboard, right?
Yeah, now they come with the phone, the iPad. It used to be the pages that they're flipping through
Yeah.
the whole night. I always just thought that looked, tacky and not classy. So if I had any critiques, it would be that. Um, but it was a fun time. Like I just think that when you're in the entertainment business and everything, you have to think in terms of like the clients, right? So like what are the clients going to see? The clients are going to see when they're watching back their wedding video. If there's any clips to the MC, he's gonna have fucking disgusting paper held in his hand and ruins the whole video, makes it look like shit. Rather than somebody that just has like, the cadence to sit there and not panic and be like, I've got the names memorized. I put in the little bit of extra effort a couple days before to make sure that I memorized the names, went over it. As I arrived, I'm meeting the people, I'm putting the names to the faces. So that way, then throughout the rest of the night, you can make the night special by being able to call people out by name and all that stuff. So that's my only critique. But overall, it was an over the top wedding, and it was great. And like I was able to give a 7-minute speech, no notes, no nothing. So
That's
I'm
the way to
looking at
do
the
it.
MC being like, you can't not read off of a cheat board
Is
here.
there, wait, you wanted to say you want to go off the cuff. A lot of people aren't really going to be too pleased with this comment, but when we compare the best man speech to the maid of honor speech, the best man speech is always to the point. It's always about the couple. And with the
Yeah.
maid of honor speech, it's always about, oh my God, we met when we were 5 years old. We've been best friends
No,
ever
they
since.
always start
What
the
are you at
speech.
the wedding
The
for?
speech always starts off with, "For those of you that don't know me, I am so and so's best friend." But the only time I gave a speech at my sister's wedding. I started off by saying, "For those of you that don't know me, that's your problem, not mine." And then I started talking because
That's it. That's how it has to be.
that's
Like, oh man, I could go on for days about maid of honor speeches versus best man speeches. It's kind of like it's like, oh my God, Susie, like what? Nobody cares. Not a single
exactly.
person in here cares. Like,
Yeah,
just
try to make it
tell a
quick.
funny, I know it's
Tell a
hard.
joke.
Tell a joke, be funny, have your heartwarming moment about your best friend finding love. Say a couple good things about like the first time they told you about, the person they're getting married to, and just keep it moving. You know
Right.
what I mean? I feel like that
Yeah.
sticks with people more than like reading from the notes. I have people still to this day that were at the wedding just being like, dude, your speech was amazing. And I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't read from notes.
Yeah.
I
More
wasn't just
authentic.
listing off things that I had like, been like, oh, like these details about our childhood nobody cares about. If you're gonna tell a story, you gotta like intertwine like why you're telling these things into an overall thing. Otherwise, they're just useless facts.
Yeah. And I would say to your point about the notes and stuff with the MCs, we're in Staten Island, so Sweet 16s are always a big thing. But my sister's Sweet 16, when the MC introduced, she was walking in with me and my other sister. She gave the wrong, they introduced my sister with the wrong name. And I was like, this is her Sweet 16. And the cake had the wrong name. I was like, ah, yeah, yeah. So,
Oh my
you know,
God.
at
Yeah,
the
you remember those things.
you should know things. But moving on here, obviously you had a successful career at Rutgers. You did the DJing stuff in high school, and then you come out of school and first you're doing financial planning, then you're an account executive, and then ultimately you end up in a good spot for you, the fitness space. So talk to us about that journey and how did you really fall in love ultimately with the fitness space?
I felt like it was just like a natural transition. Like I feel like, I went from sports and then I, started working in the city. And fitness was a very big part of like my routine, right? And at the time, you know, I didn't really I didn't really do gym workouts, so I was doing a lot of Shaun T workouts. I was doing Insanity like every day, and then after work, I would go do Krav Maga classes, and then I'd come home. But I was like running everywhere, so like I wasn't taking bikes, I wasn't taking subways, I wasn't taking cabs. I don't even think Uber existed at that time, to be honest. Um, which is crazy to think about. Wow. So then I kind of was inspired by like Sean and his style of workouts that he put together. And I was like, I want to start putting together workouts like that. I want to start, training people and kind of getting them, a little bit motivated in that. So that's kind of where that went. And it's kind of been a part of my life ever since then. Now my training looks a little bit different. But it was fun. It was fun getting my like, I did it a lot in New Jersey. I did it a lot in New York, and just seeing people who are excited to kind of be motivated by somebody else. It's touching.
Absolutely. And can make an impact on somebody's life for the better in those situations. So far, we've done an interview with you, and I doubt you got through an interview this long without talking about reality TV. We'll finally turn the page here. So right now, as we're airing this, Big Brother's about to wrap up. You were on Big Brother, of course. Now, I couldn't imagine that you had to apply. I'm thinking they came to you and put you on the show. But what was the process like for you to get on Big Brother?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that came from the parties that I was doing, like MCing and everything. Because even when I was living in New York and doing all that stuff, like I was still working parties on the weekends, still working weddings, still working sweet 16s, bar and bat mitzvahs. It's actually a funny story. They saw my brother and I kind of working these events. Like they always have like casting directors like everywhere. I'm sure they get like a commission if like they submit somebody and they make it and everything. So that's kind of how it was. It's like me and my brother, we'd always watch Big Brother, and we were approached, and then we were like, yeah, sure, we'd love to do it. Obviously my brother did it first, and like, I thought it was going to be one of those things where it was like one or the other. So I was like, all right, obviously he should be the one that does it. You know what I mean? Like he's my younger brother, he's good looking. Like this is what he should be doing. Um, and then I was kind of just helping them with casting directing afterwards, not from the casting standpoint, but I would set up the venues, provide the equipment, provide the microphones for their casting calls in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. And I had done that for 2 years. So I did that, for season 17. And then I was doing that for season 18, and I had done it. And they had told me that the casting process was done. And I was like, all right, cool. And then they called me last second, was like, actually, we're going to do a little twist. How about you come on? And I was like, all right. I was like, I guess I'm coming on, So that's how that worked.
Nick, I don't know if you knew this or not. There's a little like cheat code in life. If the first three letters of your last name start with CAL, chances are you're going to be really good looking and have opportunities just kind of fall into your lap. Is that the way it works over there in that household?
The Calafiores and the
Oh man.
Calabreses.
Yeah, listen, it's you got good strong Italian genes. It's kind of hard to just kind
That's
of hard to
right.
miss. I haven't met too many Sicilians, which is usually kind of like what a lot of us in New Jersey, New York,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania are. Not too many ugly ones. Like, we don't get the one thing we got to worry about is like what is the nose going to look like? That's
Yeah,
about it.
mine's a little stout over here. Other
Yeah,
than that, we're all
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, but stout's all right, like at least it's not the ones that, look like cliffs, a bunch of ridges,
Eh.
giant nostrils. I mean like they look questionable. They look like the person that you definitely tell your kids not to accept candy from.
Well, I think the beard also kind of helps that too. Some people like through the years, they've told me like I can't see you like without the beard. Like it goes with the whole look. I feel like you get the same kind of right input, right?
Yeah, there's the guys who've got the jaw lines like Cody, so he could keep the clean shaven face
Yeah,
all the time, and then there's the rest of us,
that's
we gotta
right.
have got a little contour here.
A little
Yeah,
more rounded face. All
yeah.
right, talking about Cody, he played the game before you. Obviously, him and Derek together are one of the best big brother duos of all time. What was, you know, I'm sure everything kind of came together really, really fast. Did he have time to kind of prep you on anything before you entered the house?
It came pretty fast. I mean, he prepped me a little bit. Ultimately, like their biggest piece of advice to me was like try and keep that, like try and keep that like competitive animal of you like away.
Hmm.
Or like if you're gonna be competitive, like be competitive, but do it with a smile. Like don't let the like that guy come out, and yeah, I mean I tried to kind of keep it down in, but like, I just couldn't help it. Like it started coming out. You know what I mean? Like you
That's
start
right.
to hear things in the house, like so you start to like talk shit. And like like I was very much like when I played sports, I was a smack talker. I tried to get into the heads of my opponents like in different capacities. Like I tried to like beat them mentally before the game even started so that it made the game even easier, for me. So, you start doing that like on national television. Not everybody's going to understand that, not everybody's going to relate to it. And that's exactly what happened. Like it started coming out, started saying things to people before competitions to like rattle them and to get in their head, try and throw them off. And then it is what it is. You get your whole squad of people to turn on you, and that's the history. I feel like I was a mob boss just sitting there kind of playing the game, and then I kind of feel like my own just kind of took me out, and I was like, damn, I would never expect it to come from you guys, like because we kind of
Yeah.
outplayed and outwitted everybody at that point, and I thought it was just going to be a domino effect of
Yeah.
like, all right, get rid of them, and then we're all going to duke it out afterwards. And they were kind of like, I don't know. You've won a lot of comps. So I don't know if we want to take our chances with that. So I think we'll get rid of you now. You know?
Yeah. I
Well, for
think
what it was
didn't
worth,
Paulie do the trifecta? He won everything in all different. He won, didn't you won veto the same week you were when you were on the block. You won it when you were the HOH or something, and you also
Yeah.
like something you set some sort of record if I remember.
I had a couple back to back winnings in terms of like, the veto, HOH, veto
Right, you
comp.
won it when you were chosen to play. You won it because you were on the block, and you won it because you were the head of the household. I think like
Yeah.
that hadn't been done or
right?
something before you did it.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody forget. Like I feel like everybody kind of forgets about like the gameplay and like competition accolades and things. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think people focus more on, the things that I say and how I am. While I'm in there playing the game and like more so the smack talk and more so like a lot of the ridiculous things that I say, which is like, 9 times out of 10, I'm saying ridiculous things like just for the sake of saying them. But I think if we took like a magnifying glass to like it and like you've removed all that stuff out, but kind of be like, all right, you're pretty decent. Like Big Brother fans, they'll never give it to me because they're comparing Cody to me. So it's like, how can you compare possibly the greatest Big Brother player of all time to, I was fourth in jury. I think at that point I was the fourth person in jury. You know what I mean? So how are you going to compare that? So they're obviously everybody's going to be like, you suck and you're not good at the game. And I'm just kind of like, all right, sure, And then same thing, same thing in the challenge world. It's kind of like in that capacity, always being compared. But my whole thing is it's like if you're comparing me to the best people and then saying I suck, it's not like you're comparing me to the middle of the ground people, the worst people, and saying, "Yeah, you suck." You're comparing me to the best people and saying you suck in comparison to the best people. And I'm like,
Sure.
all right, like you got me, sure.
Yeah, you want to be in their company though. But is there anybody in the past few seasons, we'll take it from post your brother winning the All-Stars, that you really like respected their game because it kind of maybe reminded you of the way you played it all?
I would say the only player up until this point I think is Keanu.
Yeah.
Like I think, but I think he handled himself better in scenarios than I for sure would have. But I think he kind of went in with that mentality of like, I'm just gonna say whatever, I'm gonna be me, I'm gonna rely on winning comps. He didn't really have like a comp beast on his season to kind of like throw it off, where it's like, Victor was good at comps on my season, Paul was good at comps on my season. So you had people that were capable of winning comps that you had to kind of be weary of. But he definitely handled himself way better than I would have in certain things. Like when some of the people like tried to like get a rise out of him and like get under his skin and say some crazy shit, they would have definitely got a rise out of me. There wouldn't have been like that calm demeanor of like, I don't even know what you guys are like yelling about or what you're saying or like the confusion. I would have been like, all right, you're coming at me, so now I'm gonna come at you.
Well, for what it's worth, uh, going back to your season, I don't think your season kind of gets enough credit, right? Because your brother's season, the first time he played, was incredibly strong. It was really, really well received. I think because him and Derek just are two of the more likable players who have ever played the game, right?
Yep.
But your season was really good because I think it was a really good mix of guys who went back in, like Frank and James, who you knew were going to be strong players, win competitions. Obviously, you kind of align yourself with certain people as best you could. I definitely think you were incredibly good television. It's been a couple of years since we had one of those Big Brother seasons where it was just kind of like everybody kind of going at each other. Now it seems a little more like summer camp. But when you played specifically, right, recognizing some of the names who have been in, who have played the game before, who were on your season, or maybe and something, in particular about the house, what was your biggest surprise about Big Brother? Because some people come on and they say, oh, it's the temperature. Some people come on and they say, oh, it's the lighting. Some people come on and say, oh, it's the access to the backyard and how often we actually don't get it. What was the biggest surprise when you played Big Brother?
Um, I think it was the size of the house or the house, the studio lot, the size of like the living space for like all those people. Definitely the lack of access to the backyard. But for me, it was just a very like eye-opening experience to how gross people can be,
Oh yeah.
to live with and like that disgusting aspect of things. Like I've had roommates. I've been very fortunate. Like all of the places that I've ever lived with roommates have been immaculate. Like absolutely clean, everybody on the same page. Going in there, it was disgusting. And you know, mainly like the disgustingness like was coming from the girls in there. And like, you
It's
want to
okay. You could say it. You could say
no,
it.
no, like I
There's this
I
there's
don't
this perception that men are not nearly as neat, right? To put it in a polite way. And I
no.
don't know. It's just our
I,
experience always points
listen,
to the opposite, right?
I'm saying it because like listen, I get it. On my season, the temperatures were hot outside of the house in terms of like men versus women, and I know a lot of people will sit there and be like misogynist, sexist, and I'm like, no, I didn't like the girls on my season. Like the people I know and the women that I surround myself with, they're badasses and everything. But you want to talk about the eyelashes that get left all around the fucking house like caterpillars. I don't understand it. For what reason you could just throw them the fuck away? Like, why do I need to like be like have jump scares every time I walk by a kitchen table, a kitchen countertop, a bathroom countertop, fucking the nightstands, and just be like, what the fuck are these things? And it's just the mindset of like if I have something on me and like, yeah, I'm going to bed, I understand. I'm gonna put it on the nightstand because I don't want to get up, walk to the garbage and throw it out. The first thing I do in the morning is grab it, make sure it's thrown out. So it's just so wild to me that and the Q-tips used for the makeup were just all over the place.
Oh,
Disgusting. Like, and the hair, like it was just like you comb your hair and it would just be like, let's just rip the clumps out of the hair, put it right on the fucking countertop. Let's just rip the clumps out of the hair. Let's just balancing act it right on top of the garbage where as soon as somebody walks by, the air of them walking by is just gonna whoosh,
oh.
blow it right into the open. Like to me, the girls were fucking disgusting. You know what I mean?
This should have been a Big Brother Unlocked episode. I mean, this is the real stuff
This
right
is the
here.
real good stuff. Yeah, the actual
Yeah,
real
this is
stuff.
this is the real good stuff. Like they were gross. Like I remember one day they made like a big deal. Like he's like, there's one bathroom, right? And
Yeah.
there's feminine products like in there,
Yep.
right? I being observant as I am, noticed that like, they only used one set of the feminine products, so they would use the tampons, not the pads. So like there would always just be like a ridiculous amount of pads like in the bathroom. And I remember one day I took the pads and I spelled out inside the bathroom, like, clean up your garbage, girls. Like, clean up your mess. Like, because
Yeah.
even in the bathroom, where, like, even in the toilet area with the garbage can, it was disgusting.
Oh yeah.
Like, you
Only
had to
imagine
almost like
that's
kind of go in there and
one
like set your
toilet.
feet up. And I remember they were trying to make a big deal about it, be like, oh, like, how dare you touch like products like meant for us? I'm like, you're not fucking using it.
Mm.
Like you're not using any of the fucking anything. Like, what is this? It's sexist to take your fucking pads and spell out clean up your fucking mess on the fucking door. Like, clean up your fucking mess. The Q-tips are disgusting. The eyelashes are disgusting. The hair all over the place is disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, it's gross. And like I would say the same thing to a guy, like if a guy was being disgusting. It's just the guys weren't being disgusting, you know?
Fair
We
enough.
were cleaning the kitchens, we were cooking, we were
Yeah, I can
doing all
only
that.
imagine how everyone just piles all their crap in the sink and then it's like
Oh,
overflowing.
oh,
What's
dude.
dirtier, the Big Brother house or the challenge houses?
Um, Damn. I mean, it's close call. It's the same thing, It's the same thing. The only difference is, I believe is you don't get as much of that because in the Big Brother house, they clean it once a week, whereas in the Challenge house, the house gets cleaned 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and also
So
there's not as much cooking in the challenge house, right? Because you get some catered meals.
yeah, everything's catered. So that's fine.
And you're also
However,
you're
like
you're also getting transported to certain locations, and you guys are
exactly.
going out periodically. So
And they can
you're
come in and
probably
clean the
not using the
house.
challenge house as opposed to the Big Brother house where you're stuck in the house.
Stuck in the house. And,
Yeah, you go outside of the challenge house, so
yeah, the cleaning of the dishes is probably the biggest thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people
Sure.
will just pile the dishes up, because they're gonna get done. And like when you have a house of 32 people, you could go through all the dishes in like a day or two before the cleaning people come in to do the dishes and they're all clean. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So like, I mean, no other, I don't, there's only maybe like one other challenger that does this, Jordan. But like, I'll go in, I'll get my plate, my bowl, my cup, my utensils, and that's my stash. It stays next to my bed. Nobody touches it. I'll eat, I'll clean the stuff that I use,
Take it
keep it
back.
next to my bed. That way I always know that I got something because nobody cleans up after themselves. It's gross. That's
Yeah.
my biggest pet peeve. And like I know you gotta like have a certain semblance of it, but the levels of it just get insane sometimes.
Can imagine. And I want to talk about the challenge in a moment here, but I'm a little surprised. Maybe you were guys were approached and you just couldn't do it, but with this new Amazing Race being all Big Brother, I mean, wouldn't it have made sense to have a big brother and little brother from Big Brother and you and your
No,
brother on Amazing Race?
because they would have dominated and they would have won the game. And I think CBS probably knew that.
Yeah, they would have targeted us. I mean, we
Right.
we were definitely approached. That was more so decision on my brother's side. Having the not having the ability to be able to make the filming times. But I mean, I offered my dad and my mom.
Yeah.
So like that could have been a nice situation. Could have been. I thought we had a pretty heartwarming, interview where like my dad basically said that the reason why he would want to do Amazing Race is because he would finally want to be able to have this moment with his son where we like, are able to have like a father-son moment rather than like a coach
Yeah.
player,
Team
situation or,
together.
like we work together like on the business and everything. So it's like most of our conversations have always been about like what we got to do, So like, and I would have liked that too. But hey, I guess it was very heavy Big Brother, but only really heavy Big Brother from like a certain time period on.
Right. Except for Enzo. That's about it. Everybody
Yeah,
else is new school.
Enzo and Kat were like the curveballs there.
Yeah. Do you know Enzo at all? Like because you Jersey guys or just
I've
through the
met
show
Enzo a
really?
couple times. He's
Okay.
he's funny. Yeah,
But
Did
he's
yeah,
you
a
he's
meet
funny.
he's great.
him?
He's great entertainment.
I was gonna say, did they have anything because the second All-Star season that Cody won, that
Yeah.
was during all the COVID stuff,
And
and
Enzo.
obviously it was Cody who evicted Nicole, which is amazing television for at the time.
Yep.
He finished second, Enzo, because Cody brought him to the end of the game. Did they like do anything like for like a wrap-up party after that? Were you able to meet him then?
I actually I met Enzo after my brother's first season.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so I'd met him like a long time ago in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Funny enough. So like, yeah, at that time, he was very heavy into calling himself the Meow Meow, and
Yes.
you know, and I was like, I don't think a grown man should call himself the Meow Meow, but hey, here we are. Like, but yeah, he's a good guy, and he's funny, and he's always been good to my brother. So like, that's all I can really ask for. I mean, he, I think he's one of the more entertaining,
Definitely.
people just like kind of like naturally being
Yeah.
himself. But I feel like that
That's
was
that's the that's the old school Jersey, New York casting. That's what we're
Yeah.
missing these
exactly.
days on
We don't get
shows.
that anymore. We don't get that anymore. I feel like they're like, they're not heavy.
It's a dying breed.
It
You
is.
know, you know
I
what I've
agree.
noticed? There are more, I guess, manufactured caricatures now than there used to be. Because they go to, Nick and I are native Staten Islanders, right? So, us Staten Islanders, we love our, Jersey down the Jersey Shore and everything. So I guess there's some overlap in personality. So like the Staten Island, like that used to be like a typecast, right? But it
Right.
used to be authentic. And now
Yeah.
more recent seasons, I don't know if you're getting that authenticity anymore.
No.
No, I'm not getting that authenticity. Like I'm pretty sure like I saw something of Ava this season where she was like trying to practice her facial expressions in, mirrors in order to like try and like have a moment of like being like, I don't know, like fucking memeable or I don't know, like
Memeable.
what do you
Yeah.
call those things that
GIF.
like
Yeah,
it's
they're
a
memes. You got
GIF?
them right.
Yeah, like they tried to make herself like gifable and everything, and I'm just like, that's so ridiculous. Like that's where we're at now is like, like there's two things that I hate more than anything. Like if I watch Big Brother nowadays, first thing is going in, trying to, be that character, like looking for those, moments because they got to be authentic. That's what makes them fucking hilarious. Like the first time you ever saw the situation stare deadpan into the camera when something crazy was going on, like it was like one of the first times that something crazy like that
Breaking
was,
the fourth
and they
wall.
just,
Right.
yeah, and they decided to like keep it in, and you were like, that's hilarious. And second is when Big Brother players go in there and all they talk about is wanting to get on the challenge.
Oh, that's the
And
new thing now.
yeah, that's the new thing
Yeah.
because, like if you want to go on the challenge, like they're going to pick you.
Right.
But
Right.
I have never seen somebody get picked to go on the challenge that talked about wanting to get picked to go on the challenge. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's like when you have that preconceived notion of like, I'm doing this for this, like it usually doesn't work out because you're not even doing any of the things that they would be like looking for. Like I had no idea that the challenge was even like an option. Like after going on Big Brother, it's like I was just a nut job, and they called me up and they're like, "Hey, we like nut jobs. You want to come over here?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure, love that."
Yeah. And the good thing about you with the challenge is you never played like a scared game. Uh, you know,
No.
I hate the challenge where people get thrown in, especially Josh, and he's like, how could you throw me in? That's the name of the game. You're trying to eliminate people, and he's crying. Why? How could you throw me in? Like, don't get me started on Josh. I don't know if you're friends with him, but I hate the way he plays the game. But the challenge, they're good. It's definitely in a transition state right now. I'm curious, especially what we have going on this season. Do you think Father Time has caught up to some of these vets? Because they came into this current season in pretty bad shape.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing, man. And I get it. Like the most recent episode that, aired, some of the vets they did well in like the mini
Yeah,
final,
CT.
so to speak. Yeah, CT did Theo. I think he came in fourth
Yeah.
or whatever. But my whole thing is I had been saying that Father Time came in when I came on the show. And that's because I saw exactly how they were competing then. And then when you brought me in, and then Theo came in, and then Turbo came in, and you had Hunter who was in the mix at that point, they were already kind of like, oh, we can't even compete with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like CT needed Jordan, on War of the Worlds too. Like that's a super stacked team right there. To do it. Now CT's like one more in his later years, and he's always going to be a formidable threat, when it goes there. However, you can't tell me that younger CT would be okay with older CT showing up on a season back in the day. He would immediately be sitting there being like, this guy's got to be the first to go. He
Yeah.
doesn't belong here. And the same with Derek K, same with anybody. And like that's my biggest, piece here is it's like there was a time period on the challenge, probably the last like 5 years, where it was like the Kumbaya years.
Yeah.
It's not what the challenge was. The challengers didn't have to go through what I went through, what challengers before me had went through in terms of like the hazing period
Yeah.
and also like the earning your stripes period,
Yeah.
right? So like all of the challengers who were, who are the greats, they went through a earning your stripes period. I went through that same period, and then it's almost like we had 5 years where like rookies came in, none of them got bullied. None of them got anything, that made them earn their stripes. They were literally just welcomed in by the vets who were literally just being nice to them because they're like, we don't want them to target us.
Yeah.
And then you had the rookies that were just like, oh my God, these vets who are legends of the game are being nice to us. I just want to be liked. I just want to be, I want to fit in. I want the fans to like me. I don't want to go against the grain. I don't want to do anything. So this lack of going against the grain for the last 5 seasons has given us this false sense of security that the OG veterans still got it. They don't. They've just been coasting the last 5 years. And when I came in, all they were talking about was, I don't know how many more of these we got,
Yeah.
you know? So,
And
like,
now we're like 9 years later, they're still
and now
hanging
we are
on.
9 years later. They're saying the same shit when you show up. Like I showed up to 40, and the same people who've been saying that since I showed up on 32 are saying it now. So now it's like at a point in time where now you have the people who came in with me, era four people, later era three people, who are like, well, these people have been saying this forever. And now all of us are kind of getting to that point in our life where we're like, hey, we're thinking about life because it's not just like, you go on a show, you come home. It's like a lot of people are getting married, they're having
Hmm.
kids, they're
Yeah.
starting families. So
Yeah.
now it's becoming more of those things where it's like, if you're not going to show up and bring it, and if you're not going to show up and be in shape, and it's not just that, because the biggest thing that the OGs said over these last 5 years is it's not a competition show, it's a reality show. So we need to be entertaining, and the entertaining characters need to be there. And my argument to that is the only reason why you're considered an entertaining character is because you were a good competitor and
Exactly.
because you had moments where you had control of the game and were able to make
Yeah.
very
The more you win, the
entertaining
more
moves.
camera time you get, and that's how you become a character. That's how you become a legend.
And you have the opportunity to make those oh shit moments where you backstab somebody, you throw somebody in, you make these memorable moments, you cause fights, you cause
Yeah.
tension, right? So like it's like completely contradictory of what it is. And my whole thing is, okay, so now let me play devil's advocate. I'm going to go with your argument of like it's about entertainment. You guys aren't even entertaining anymore. You're not, because you're showing up there. None of you are trying to hook up with anybody. No, I mean, other than Bananas. Bananas is still going strong. He's still fucking, like he's still showing up in shape. He's still hooking up. He's still like competing. He still gives a shit. and like everybody else is showing up, no hookups, no fights, can't even compete. And you're just laying down, coasting. And I call it collecting a paycheck because
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of these people and they are doing just that. They're just like, hey man, like I
It's a
can't turn down the
job for
paycheck.
them.
Yeah, okay, I get it. You definitely can't. So like you can't turn down the paycheck. I get it. But if you're going to go, at least try and bring something, like do some strategy, get into some arguments, take
Right.
some shots, right? If
Well,
you're
I
in a
don't,
position,
but I think as far as the shots is concerned, what that's bothered me this past years is like this whole thing of like maybe this is different for you. But if I was a competitor, I don't want to have the best people at the end with me. I want to go against the easy people. So the fact that, Jordan doesn't get thrown in the elimination at all, and Bananas hit the elimination for only once this season and he got out, but the last season he got in once and he was safe. You should be throwing in or coming together and saying, hey, we got to get Jordan out of here because when he makes the final, he wins the final. That just
yeah,
that's like you're saying, it's a big kumbaya all of a sudden again.
that was my mentality going in, and I think that that's been lost with like the new kids and the OGs. Like my mentality going in is I got to throw the best players in over and over and over again because if they win just once and I don't throw them in again, they're gonna possibly make the end and go. And also, I was sitting there being like, if I don't make a final
Hmm.
and like play as hard as I can, like we're talking like not giving a fuck who you screw over, not caring who you fight with, not caring any of that stuff. If I don't do any of those things, I'm never getting called back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like almost having to sit through like watching like a kumbaya phase. I'm sitting here being like, yo, are we ready to go back to old school?
Yeah.
Like truly go back to old school. And I'm not sitting here like they act as if I'm like calling for their heads to be like retire for good.
No.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yo, there's all stars that was created just for you. Like it was
Right.
just created for you to go to when you don't want to do this crazy stuff anymore.
Right. The
Like
shorter term game.
they show up out of shape. They show up complaining about, oh my God, the heights over water's too high. Oh my God, the beds are too stiff. Oh my God, I almost pulled my back out doing this. Like, once it gets to that point, what are we even doing here? Like, we can solve this problem very easily.
Yeah.
Like, take the era 3 and era 4 people, put them against these new people, let them go through the hazing and the earning your stripes that we went through because we remember sprinkle in some of the OGs, cycle them in and out, right? And like, the people in the middle are going to protect the OGs and, I don't know, maybe we'll turn
Right.
on them. Who knows? But
So how
like,
how do you feel
we have,
about the constant like the twist now? Basically every episode of every season, the partners are switching. You never did this, but it used to be a team game, like one team versus another team, and then it was
yeah,
locked in with the partners. So how do you feel about the way the game's kind of adapted in that regard?
I think there's always going to be twists in it. Me personally, like if I had to go down the line of what I would want individual season, pairing season, team season, or a combination of like
Yeah,
it
but
going
if you
into
do
like,
individual season, it shouldn't be the guys voting the girls and the girls voting the guys. It should be the guys voting the guys and the girls voting the girls.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. There shouldn't be this notion of, protecting people, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like on the opposite side. So it's like if you're a guy, you can kind of skate to the end because if you have the strong girls protecting you, you're good. So I don't know, man. Like I think that these two things were made for a reason. You have all stars, you have the flagship. Now's the
Yeah.
time where you really gotta put it to what it should be.
Mhm.
Make all stars this enough with the crossovers. Like I was behind the all stars movement, the bring back OGs movement, totally behind it.
Yeah.
But now
Now
it
it's
like
all
it's
regular people that aren't
yeah,
the OGs on the show. It's
yeah.
all muddled. I'm a little surprised that USA on CBS only lasted two seasons because I thought that was a good concept.
I think it was a great concept, and I think that they could have replicated all of the other stuff on CBS with just CBS talent,
Right.
always bringing back
Right.
Yeah, because the second
CBS.
season they took the challenge people that had no CBS ties, as you know, and they were there. So
Yeah, and they added in a twist that was like, you can secretly vote for people, and if your name pops out on a hopper,
right.
it does. So like once again, that changes the way the game is played.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like that doesn't make the game be like the challenge where it's like you call people out, you say it with your chest, you do whatever. The whole game was whispering because you didn't want people to throw a ball on your name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it forced it to play more like Big Brother and Survivor when it's the challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
We need some more cutthroat gameplay of the challenge and Big Brother. Is there anybody you'd like to see that hasn't been on the show on the challenge in a few years? Like let's say the past like 4 seasons they haven't been on at all, that you think would be nice to have them return to the mix to potentially shake things up.
as far as shaking things up, I mean, I really want to see Zach back.
Yeah, Zach would be
Um,
good.
but as far as shaking things up, I think Zach plays a very good game. Like he's not going to argue, he's not going to do whatever, but at least he's a good competitor. And at least he'll speak his mind anywhere. He's not just going to sit there and listen to a conversation and not speak. As far as, Turbo's been back, Theo's been back, I've been back. However, there's not been a season yet where it's like you've put all of the group that essentially were like the era four stars in the beginning. Look at myself, look at Theo, look at Rogan, look at Kyle, look at Turbo, and you haven't put us all into the mix again to see what we're going to do. Are we going to work together? Are we going to fight with each other? Are we going to do whatever? Like I have, in the 2 seasons that I've been back on, I'm like, okay, so I've walked into like a den of wolves. I've had none of my allies. I've
Yeah.
had nobody. I was basically thrown to the wolves both times. And anybody that's like, yeah, but you had CBS people on that. I'm like, yeah, but the twist with the Hopper kept you from openly and outwardly saying, yeah, CBS, let's band together and target MTV because then they were all going to just throw the balls on you.
Yeah.
And you could go into elimination and then boom, that's the end of your run with that. I would like the show to allow and bring back more fights. And like let's stop with making it where people have to walk on eggshells. Like I remember coming back, I knew that I had to be on my best behavior based off of everything. And I don't want to have to walk into challenge houses thinking I need to be on my best behavior. And I no longer do. Like, because I'm just like, listen, I'm going in, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Either it's going to make it or it's
Yeah.
not.
But that's
Uh,
how you, like you said, your point before, like when you first started the challenge, that's how you make a name for yourself. You got to come in, be a competitor. You try to
yeah.
win, and that's how you make your moments, and that's how you get those aspects.
Yeah, but like the whole dynamic has changed. Like, and I do blame the older people. I
Hmm.
do. I blame the older people because they're the ones that kind of set the stage. Like when I came in, but Bananas was still a dickhead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
now he's like still like a dickhead, but in like a funny way. You know what I mean? Like he like legitimately was like, no, I'm safeguarding this. You have to earn why you have to be there. And like, he's still the only one that's kind of doing it. But like these older people, like they complain and they set the tone of like, no, if you're fighting, we're gonna like feel awkward. So then it like plays into like the younger people, and the younger people are like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't fight. Like this season, like we have one messy character, and it's that guy Will. He's just a
Right.
mess. That would be like my perfect character because I would get under his skin every day. And I'd be like, let's see if I could get him to go off the rails
Right.
every single day. So it's
And
like,
that's and that that's so used to have. I know you're friends with him, but that's the way Wes used to play the game. He would
yeah,
get under
Yes.
people's skins
The
because he
skin.
knew he could back it up in the competition, and he'd get right in your face and take it to your breaking point with Bananas and CT. And
yep.
that's we're kind of missing that dynamic right now in the gameplay.
I agree 100%. It blows my mind, but I think the solution is because, and I've said this, you're not going to get that if you have 20-year-olds and 40-year-olds.
Right. You got to get
Like,
Right.
closer in age.
yeah, 20-year-olds don't want to argue with 40-year-olds.
I
40-year-olds
also
don't want to
think
argue with
there's some people
20-year-olds.
who shouldn't be casted at all, who are just kind of they're looking
Some
for.
people get cast every season,
I
and he or
know,
she
but they're
have no
looking
shot to win ever, and they're gonna
and
be
they're
there.
just
That needs to
they're
go.
looking for like a little lightning in terms of like, okay, can this person that we bring in, I guess even if the producers feel like this person's not going to necessarily perform well on the show, can this person bring a little bit of their audience? Like, is there a little bit of a crossover appeal? I think that also needs to go away as well.
I think that needs to go away. I think it
Yeah, and
needs to just
also how, and
go
this is
in.
also
Let's see what happens.
controversial. How about we like keep it like uh, mostly Americans? Because I can't get invested in these people who are on this UK show or Survivor Australia. I never saw the show before, and I want to,
Yeah.
it's tough.
And I understand that they literally have this show streaming in like 165 countries, so they're
Right.
trying to like, get that. But like once again, is someone I don't know, someone in South America going to care about a British person?
Nope.
No, like I think the show should be majority Americans. I think there's people who have earned their spots in that and have like won over the American audience
Sure. Because
for
we've seen
sure,
it for
but
years, right?
not many. Not many. Like
Yeah,
nobody
I mean, like there, but even like the last few seasons, they had people from like Croatia or Eastern Europe, and you
Romania
couldn't
and
understand them. Like it was a,
Germany.
I could like, as a viewer, like it was hard to understand what they were saying. So like it's
Yeah.
just like it's tough to watch and then their gameplay there. Yeah, Romania, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also it's like once again, like it's hard to get into an argument with like a foreigner who barely understands the language who is
Exactly.
like very nice. You know what I mean? Like they're sitting there just trying to be like, "Hey, what are the rules? I don't understand. Can you explain the rules to me?" You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So like it's
exactly.
taking away from, all of
Yeah,
that. And like I think it needs to just go back to the roots. I think you need to keep the older people on All Stars. That's fine because like how
different
many
audience.
eyes are they actually bringing to the show? And like think about this. If this is airing in a country that's never seen it and it's a voiceover, like I'm sorry, but other countries aren't as politically correct as the US is. They're
Yeah.
going to sit here and be like, what am I watching? Like they're very like, are you hot or not? Are you in shape or not? They're
Yeah.
not going to say like if a show pops up in a foreign country and it's like, oh, old fat people, they're going to be like turned off. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like you're not going to get them to stay because it's like, well, hold on a second. Look at this other half of the cast that's young and hot.
Right.
It's just not going to work out that way. Put a
Yeah.
bunch of good-looking people in
Now,
there.
did you watched the All-Star seasons?
I've
Because
watched the
yeah,
All-Star
so
seasons.
the first few was like true all stars, and then they just started like the last three like implementing like people who were just made who were like at the same time period as you. Like you're an all star now. Like it doesn't make sense in the timeline. But then there are also people who are getting cast as all stars. Who could compete in the challenge because they're young and fit like Jay, who we found on the show a few times.
Right.
Like you could have
Yeah.
like, but they're putting him on all stars. He's not an all star. He even admitted himself. So the casting is all mumbo jumbo at this point.
Yeah, it's jumbled up and like once again, I don't think anybody would have been behind the like we want OGs movement if we thought like, oh, they're gonna just weasel their way back on the flagship and then sit there and be so fucking entitled to the point where it's
Mhm.
like, oh no, we fucking built this.
Ugh.
So we deserve to be here. It's like, dude,
Yeah, give me a
all right, yeah,
pass.
you fucking built it. Congratulations. Like you
Um,
you you built it. Like, but now you're destroying it. And
mhm.
like now you're making it fall apart. Like what you built, you're now sabotaging because you refuse to pass the torch. Like there has been a passing of the torch in every stage of the game, right?
Mhm.
Like the Mark Longs and the Derricks of the world pass the torch to the Bananas, West, and CTs of the world, who have passed the torch to who? Right?
All
And
right.
they're passing the torch back to Derek and Mark Long and like Brad and all those people. It's like, okay, so there, it's like and like listen, Darrell and Brad, like they were in that same starting point, and like they passed the torch, and then
Yeah.
the torch hasn't gotten passed, and now it's like getting passed back to the people. Now people are just kind of like, uh, what are we doing here? There should be like a threshold, like Bananas comes in shape, ready to win every single time, ready to stir up drama, ready to do whatever to the point where it's even going to jeopardize his game like this past season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody else coming in, they don't want to jeopardize their games and they can't even compete or perform. And then it's like, oh, we had one back season. Don't worry, we'll get in shape. We'll get in shape. And then it's like,
Yeah.
even
Well,
if you come
how
back
long
the
do they
next
in
week,
advance do they tell you you're going to be on? Because it seems like you should have enough time to at least start running, right?
well, that's my point is like they will give you enough time, but it's like there's certain OGs that just expect the call. So it's
Right.
like, why are you not in shape all the
Right.
time?
They know they're going to be there. So why not just, stay ready so you don't need to get ready?
Yeah, and it's like, dude, these people openly talk about how much they get to just step off the plane.
Mm,
And it's like, you're getting that, and that's basically a waste of money for me. Like if I was
right.
running a business and I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna throw away this amount of money because these people are gonna show up like this with whatever, and they're not bringing the same audience that they did. Business decision. I'd be like, you're gone.
Yeah.
Or I'd put something in place like, the lineman coaches do for the offensive line when you get drafted to the NFL. If you're overweight, they'll be like,
Run.
well,
Yeah.
you better get on a treadmill and you better start doing fat man walks. That's what they're called. Like the incline, they're called fat man walks.
Yeah.
And the linemen have to literally do that until they're of the weight to play without injuring other people or injuring themselves.
Yeah. So Joe, you could see how passionate Paulie is about this, and that's the Scorpio in him. So you played
Right.
both games here, Big Brother and the Challenge.
Which
Which
we
one is
love.
tougher to play?
Psychologically and mentally, Big Brother is tougher to play.
Wow.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, physically the challenge is obviously much tougher to play, but like Big Brother is a pressure cooker the entire time.
Yeah.
From the second you get in there, to the second you leave, mentally you are going insane in
Yeah.
there.
Do you think there's
Uh,
any challengers that could survive in the Big Brother house and make a decent run?
Honestly, I think the one that would probably be the closest person to be able to make it and go as a named person, probably CT.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he won
You
Traders,
know,
so
like
uh,
knowing Wes's game, Wes is super smart and he's super good at the challenge. I think Wes would shoot himself in the
a
foot
major
by trying
target.
to talk too much. Well,
Yeah.
trying to talk too much. And then, Bananas, we're also good at the challenge. I think him being a bigger personality would,
Yeah.
and like, wanting to stir the pot
Yeah. Well, they did the
would make things
Challenge
better.
USA, so why don't they do Big Brother MTV? Just a full challenge cast of Big Brother on MTV.
I would be down for a Big Brother all MTV, the challengers. I don't think it would ever happen because I think after had the halfway point of the season, I think 95% of them would likely either said or done something that would probably cause extreme backlash on social media. Like I think the
Yeah.
challengers take for granted the fact that there's no live feeds
Right.
in the challenge house
And then it's
because
gonna anything that's crazy it might be edited out, and they can 6, 7 months later it airs.
exactly,
I really wish they would do at least one season, even if it's a shorter season of the challenge in real time, because that would be wild to watch those type
oh,
of live feeds and stuff.
that would be very wild. But then yeah. No, actually that would be fucking great. I think that would be hilarious. If they can make that happen, I would 100%
Yeah.
support it.
Let me ask you a quick question. Would you go back on Big Brother if they asked you?
For the longest time I said no, because it really does do a number on your mental, like on your mental health, like coming out, you're just kind of like fucked up for a little bit. But now I think enough time has passed where like I think if they did like a heroes versus villains or like a second chances, I would do it. And I think I would do it because I would kind of go into it with a different mindset.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be so hell bent on you know, trying to do everything to win. I think I would actually like enjoy the moment. Like, I think what you get in the challenge house that you don't get in the Big Brother house is the ability, like on the bus rides, like you're able to look out the window and be like, wow, I'm in this beautiful country right now. I'm getting paid to do
Mm.
this. I'm making money. Like, I'm happy. Like, you get to
Yeah.
like practice like your gratitude stuff. I didn't really get to do that at all in the Big Brother house. Like, there's never a time where you're like, oh, I am in the Big Brother house. This is awesome. Like I am being watched right now through these cameras by millions of people live. So like as I'm walking and this camera's following me, that's because people are watching me. Like there was no like gratitude in like my stay in the Big Brother house. And like I kind of want to like have that moment of being like, I'm here. This is cool, you know?
Absolutely. And very well said. Did you get to enjoy the scenery in the villa? Talk about appearing with Cara Maria on Vanderpump Villa.
Oh, I mean, that was awesome. That villa was amazing. The views were amazing. Definitely got to be grateful for that because like there was no pressure. Like I wasn't competing for anything. I was just like sitting there partying, having a good time, eating all this delicious food. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my life, in terms of that. That was just a really random thing. Like I was in Paris for the Olympics, and the same production company that does the challenge does Vanderpump Villa, and they had guests cancel like last second, and they were like, "Oh, you're in Europe. What's going on?" And we were just kind of like, "Well, we're doing some work, for the Olympics and everything like that." And they were like, "Can you come to Italy? Do you want to come to Italy?" And we were like, "Yes." And they were like, "Can you get some of the Olympians over?" And we were also like, "Yes." So that was just like the best experience ever, ever. If I could go back and do that every single time, if I had a show about me where I just got to live and eat and
Mm,
live my life, like that's the ultimate goal right there. So like
right,
I'm trying to get on that kind of level. Get me one of those
right.
shows where I just get to film
Well,
once a
maybe
year.
it could happen. I mean, you have your own production company now, so talk to us about the process of launching that and some of the projects you've worked on over the years with that.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, it kind of started just to capture all of the events I was doing, like the boxing events, the content events. And then it started, turning into like when we'd be there at these content events, we would like put together these, like mini, like 1 to 3 minute, like concept things just to like drop out on social media. And then I was like, you know what, we should actually like start writing scripts and start like producing our own like little short films and concepts for series and all that stuff. So that's kind of what it's turned into. Will there be a show like a reality style show that goes? I mean, we're definitely talking about that. Like there's definitely some other reality TV people that are interested in being on some of the concepts that we're you know putting together. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Well, I think, and I'll let you, plug your charity here, but you're going to be down in Orlando over the Edge,
Yep.
Celebrity Weekend. So I'm sure there'll be some big time networking going on down there for you, and you are raising some money for that event as well.
Yeah, no, I'm raising money for it. So I support Rain. I've been with them. I've been with them since I came out. Um, came out of the Big Brother house. Like they were one of the first ones. Also glad. They've been recent partnership. Ever since coming out and everything in 2023. So between Glad and Rain, I kind of feel like I am encompassing everything that like really holds like value to me. I think that people really should be speaking up more about rape, domestic violence, incest, things of that nature, and obviously, when it comes to Glad, I don't think I think what I like the most about it is that even though I'm not like the stereotypical, like I guess person from the community that you would expect, like they still welcome me in and they still allow me to be me, my authentic self, talk about it. I could sit here, talk about sports, be cursing, not be flamboyant, if that makes sense, and like still be accepted and loved and be like, hey, you're you. And I think that that's opened up a lot of conversations with like a lot of former athletes who are either in the closet or, have recently come out of the closet, fighters, from the UFC and all of that stuff. And I'm just kind of like, all right, that's cool. Like this, I guess there was a bigger purpose for me in that regard. So I'm forever grateful for like all the work that they do, and accepting me, for who I am.
Yeah, we love to hear that. I think Nick and I will be down in Orlando, so be making our way around. Hopefully, we'll be able to see everybody, including yourself, right? Let's talk about some more fun things. Jersey, places to go, places to eat. Do you have any local spots or spots that have been go-to places for you and your family through the years? Because I'm a little more of a Jersey guy than Nick, right? You know, as a Staten Islander, I go down the Jersey Shore a lot. And it's not exclusive to like Belmar and like that area. Like I love Manasquan, I love Point Pleasant, I love LBI, love places north up into Asbury, Long Branch, right? I have a lot of family that's in Jersey, family in the Freehold area, all the way up to North Jersey, Central Jersey, which I found out some people don't think exists, some people do think exists. Maybe you
It
can.
exists.
It exists. So
It exists.
you're in the Central Jersey part of the line there. But do you have any other places that off the top of your head that you love in Jersey, your home state?
Man, honestly, with like being out in New Jersey for so long, what I love the most when I come back to New Jersey and it's like just my go-to, I get a fucking breakfast sandwich. I get a Taylor ham, egg and cheese because
Oh, you call it Taylor ham.
yeah, I do. I
Oh
do. Yeah.
no. What how do you feel about
That's
that debate?
like I understand it. Like, is it pork roll? Yes. Taylor ham is the best brand, I believe, of the pork roll. So, like I feel like I'm being a little bit more specific. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't just want a pork roll, egg and cheese. I want a Taylor ham, egg and cheese. I want to make sure that they know that there's a specific type of pork roll that I'm looking for, and it's the Taylor ham brand. You know what I mean? So, and that's what it is, but that's like kind of like what I grew up on, right? Like when we were in North Jersey and everything, like if we were having those sandwiches, you open up the Taylor ham and you fucking cook it. You can't get better bagels um outside of like the tri-state. You can't get better pizza outside of the tri-state. So every time I come home, I'm like, I need a breakfast sandwich and I need pizza. Period. Like where I'm going for it, really doesn't matter because even the worst place in New Jersey is still the best place anywhere else.
It's true. Good point. Paulie, last question here. In your life or your career, what has been your you know I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place where you wanted to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They said, Paulie, sounds like a terrible idea. Don't do it. You're going to fail. And you said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this. And I can tell you, I told you so.
I mean, honestly, that has literally been every single thing. You know what I mean? Go down the line of it, it's been every aspect. With all the injuries, you're never going to play Division One. Well, I'm going to do it. You're not going to make it as a pro. Well, I'm going to do it. You're not going to be able to live in New York City. It's going to chew you up and spit you out. Well, I did it. You know, why are you leaving New Jersey? You're going to have no opportunity and everything. All right, I did it. I was right about every single person that I called a scumbag on reality TV. I'm sorry, I wasn't wrong. I was dead on the money with every single person that I said was a piece of shit. Was never wrong about it. Guy, girl, doesn't fucking matter. I was right about every fucking single person that I've done it. And as far the only thing that I'm waiting on, and it's coming, is all the people who say that I'll never win a reality show. So that is going to be the final thing, because I've been right about every single thing. Don't start this business. It's going to be hard. It's going to do that. I've been successful at everything. I've been successful enough on the reality shows, but I haven't gotten that win yet. But I do know that I'm very capable of winning, and I know that it's coming, and I know that it's coming soon. So like 2026. I'm winning something, and I'm gonna close that, shut those people up once and for all. You know what I mean? And that'll be
Oh,
that.
we can't wait for that.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
can't wait for that.
That's not a
I'll
prediction,
be, I'll be,
Joe.
That's
I'll be
not a
very
prediction.
humble
It's a
when I win. I
spoiler.
promise.
Well,
No, no, it's
as
okay.
long as you come back and talk to us afterwards and you say, you know, I'm
Yes.
right. I told you
Hey,
guys we were
all
Right.
right.
good.
I said it here
September
first.
2025.
And
I
we
said
get
it here
that
first, baby.
and we get that one line that we really, really need. And considering where you are at right now, with the business, entrepreneurial, real estate type of mindset, that athletic mindset, that relentless mindset, it'll happen. And when it does, and you win, you'll come back on here and be like, guys, I was right. I made it happen. We're definitely going to be continuing to support you, as well as your brother, who we talked about during the show. Your brother's still involved with the Big Brother world. He's going to be the host of the roundtable coming up here as they get ready
Right.
for finale. So the Calafiores, again, not totally, matching letters. Some of them, right? CAL with the E at the end, right?
Yeah.
So somewhat kindred spirits, but Paulie, you gave us a lot of time, well over an hour. We
And it
appreciate
went
that.
like that. That's what
And it
happens when you
went
have
like that.
the
Hey,
tri-state guys are talking. Just like
Tri-State guys are just gonna be
Yes.
talking. We knew. We knew it was gonna happen.
Absolutely. Definitely have to hopefully link up in person one day.
Yeah.
I don't know how often you're in Jersey or not, but there are a couple really great spots, including I did a video about a month or so ago. I have an uncle who's got a shop in Bayonne, New Jersey. He's got this place called the Corner Square. Shout out to him. Excellent, excellent place right on the main street over there. A couple of family members and a couple of friends I know who have businesses throughout the Jersey area. So, please let us know, how
We'll hit the
often
spots
you might
up.
be here or
you
not.
sound like
Yeah,
Tony
definitely want to hang
Soprano,
out in
Joe.
person.
I got a cousin
Yeah,
over
there he
here. I
is.
got a.
Yeah, guy's got a store over here, restaurant over here, food place over there.
What do you want me to do? I'm Jersey Joe on the go, as Nick says, even though I'm from Staten Island. I love that state. Absolutely, really, truly from the bottom of my heart. I love that state. I love people from that state. Nick and I really enjoyed this, Paulie. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck with everything moving forward. Hopefully, we see you soon. Hopefully, we see you down in Orlando. If not, we can make it happen sooner. And what we do here is we always give our guests the last word. So, from a philosophical point of view, right? If there's anything else you want to share or talk about that you have not already, please do so. And where can we find you, Paulie?
No, I mean, listen, man, I'm good. I've already dropped some knowledge. The last thing that I'll leave with everybody that wants to, listen to this, the only time that you truly lose is when you quit. And that's all I'll say, right? So take that, saute on it, think about it, spin it however you want to do it. All I know is everything that I have done in life, the reason why I was able to succeed at it is because in the moments where I wanted to quit, I didn't.
Hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up. That's what it's all about. And Paulie, we thank you so much for your time. That's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right for our special guest, Paulie, my co-host, Joey. I'm Nick, and this has been You Know I'm Right.